Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of In Real Time, the podcast. Y'all, I am so excited for today's episode. So I have gotten revelation. The Lord has answered me on a question that I feel like I have been wrestling with and asking for a long time. So let's go ahead and jump into today's episode.
Sis, I see you. 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 What? Sis, I see you. Sis, I see you.
On today's episode, we are going to be talking about how to know when to stop fighting. So this morning, I was asking God, Lord, how do I know when I need to stop fighting? And what I was referencing was my real estate career. If you guys have been following me for a while, you know that I'm a real estate agent, and it is something God has literally called me to do. He called me to do real estate a couple of years ago. Literally, I got laid off from my job and real estate fell in my lap. I'll cover that story on another day. But nonetheless, it is something that God has instructed me to do. And it was not a me idea. It was definitely a God idea. And throughout this real estate journey, it has had its ups and downs. But I will say that this has been the roughest season in my real estate career these past few years. And so with that being said, I was like, God, I don't know when to stop fighting. Like, I'm at times I'm so discouraged. I just want to quit. I just want to throw in the towel. And it seems like even with me trying to fight, I'm not getting anywhere. It seems like even with me trying to persevere, I'm not getting anywhere. And I'm like, Lord, I want to persevere, but I also don't want to be fighting for something that is not of your will. And that's why maybe I keep losing. And these are the things I'm saying to myself. I'm talking to God and I'm saying these things. And so I know that, like I said, I know that God has called me to do this thing, but I'm like, maybe I'm doing it the wrong way. Maybe I'm just looking at it the wrong way. Maybe I'm trying to go about it the wrong way in this season. And that is why I keep losing. And the Lord said, Andrea, he said, Andrea, you don't need to fight the battles. You fight your flesh to get to me, and I'll help you with the battles. And I said, okay, Lord, well, show me in the word. And Ephesians 6:12 says, we wrestle not against flesh and blood and enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world, against mighty powers in the dark world, and against evil spirits in heavenly places. And to fight supernatural battles, we need supernatural weapons. I said, okay, Lord. So the verse says we wrestle not against flesh. And although I know it doesn't mean like flesh, right? It says flesh. So I said, Lord, can you break it down for me? And he said, your flesh, meaning your desires. The only thing you need to overcome your desires is a decision to come to me. And I said, okay, Lord, I'm tracking with you, kind of, sort of. But can you give me just a statement to where I can convey this on the podcast, to where I can come back to this and sum this up in one simple statement? And he said, the lust of the flesh is a daily battle that first starts with a decision to come to me to overcome. In doing so, you are honoring my sovereignty and lordship over you. Sovereignty meaning God has the ultimate source of all power and authority. And I said, okay, Lord. Okay. So he took me to Revelation 4:11, and it reads, you are worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power, for you created all things, and by your will they exist and were created. And as I was reading that, it made me think about that verse that says, for all that is in the world is the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. And so I said, okay, so God is talking to me about the lust of my flesh, and it's a daily battle, and it starts with a decision. And so from there, it made me think about the verse that says, for all that is in the world is the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. And I'm like, okay, revelation is flowing at this point. Now, because of the way I think, I wanted to apply this verse directly to what I'm struggling with in my current career. And so I began to see how I was desiring more money to satisfy my needs instead of depending on God for provision, lust of the flesh, seeing the accomplishments, the awards, the accolades of having my own idea of success, lust of the eyes, right? Because you see it, you want it. How Ariana Grande say, I see it, I like it, I want it. That is lust of the eyes. And then after I've done these things, after I've accomplished my idea of success, which I have done before, and celebrating, not intentionally allowing this to happen, but it has happened, I would think it was something that I did and did not fully acknowledge that it was God's grace that allowed me to get to a certain place, which is the pride of life. And with the pride of life, you're essentially exalting yourself above God because you're not taking the chance, like he said to me, to recognize that it is his sovereignty and lordship over me that allows me to do anything. And so the Bible also says that God gives us the ability to get wealth. It's not our hustle. It's not, my pull myself up by the bootstraps mentality. It's not my drive or my will. It's him that gives me the ability to get wealth. And so going back to this verse where it says the lust of the flesh, which are the desires that satisfies our physical needs, the lust of the eyes, when we see something pleasing and we want it, the pride of life is an illusion that we did it, exalting ourselves against God. So think about that in your life. If you've been feeling like, man, when do I stop fighting? When do I throw in the towel? The answer is that you don't stop fighting. You just change what you're fighting for. So instead of fighting for the thing, you fight to get to God so that he may help you with the battle. Now, going back to John, where we're talking about the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life, the end of that verse says, now the world is passing away and the lust of it, but he who does the will of God abides forever. And I thought to myself, how can we know the will of God unless we come to him? And abiding is actually where God wants us to be anyways. There's a verse that says, I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him bears much fruit. Without me, you can do nothing. So God is telling us right here that we have to live in him in order to bear good fruit that is pleasing unto him. And apart from him, we can do nothing. And that's why Paul said in 2 Timothy 4:7, he said, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. And to keep the faith simply means to believe in, trust in, or continue to support even when it's hard to do so. And so going back to our topic today, with the question being, how do I know when to stop fighting? The simple answer is the lust of your flesh is a daily battle that first starts with a decision to go to God to overcome. In doing so, you are honoring God's sovereignty and his lordship over you. And apart from him, you can do nothing. So play this message back to really get it in your spirit. There was a lot of scriptures in here, and I'm sure it was a lot to digest, but it's actually really simple once you sit with it. I'm going to put all the scriptures in the show notes, and I pray that you got some revelation out of this like I did. Because, honey, by the time I was done reading all this, my whole scalp was peeled back. I was like, wow, it's just that simple, huh? So, guys, that wraps up today's show. Go ahead and like, share, and comment this show. Share it with a friend. Listen to it in the car. Listen to it while you clean up. Play it back a few times, like I said, to get it in your spirit. And until next time, friends.